explaining about the mind, and that is the mind has no logic, not at all. It 100% relies on pictures that we send to the brain and the messages that we send to the brain. It will literally believe anything you tell it to, whether or not it's real or it isn't. In my previous video, I was saying that one of the things that we are born with is we are hardwired to stay away from pain and go towards pleasure, because back in the day when we had to like survive in the wild, it was our survival instinct. So, you know, we had to have these skills in order to survive. But with the brain, it hasn't really developed. Therefore, so when we have that feeling of feeling nervous and things like that, the brain is automatically thinking that it's going through some pain, i.e. we're getting chased by lions. However, you and I know that loads of things kind of scares the hell out of us. Even standing here doing this Facebook Live, and you're seeing me raw here, you can watch me make mistakes, and it's quite nerve-wracking for the average person. But I'm not being chased by lions. However, my heart is palpitating. It is getting better, because that's another rule of the mind. The more times you do it, it gets familiar. So that's another rule of the mind, is it likes the familiar, but it doesn't like the unfamiliar, because all links to survival instincts. If you were back in the day, you went somewhere where it isn't familiar, chances are you'd get eaten by a lion. But the problem is now we don't live in such an environment. The probably only dangerous thing I would face every day is probably if I was silly and stuck my knife in a toaster, and I'll probably get like a little electric shock, or probably even worse than that. But really, most of us, we don't really face a lot of danger unless we're really, you know, a bit clumsy and we just don't look across the road. We're not going to really get chased by a lion. However, we keep continuously telling our brains that we are under threat. Silly things, most of them is negative thoughts. Because the brain listens to everything we say, if we tell it something, it would literally take it 100%. So if I just say, for example, don't think of a white elephant. Don't think of a white elephant. Don't think of a white elephant. How many of you lot are thinking of a white elephant right now? Because our brains just listen to everything. It doesn't matter whether or not it's true or not. It will believe everything you say. So that is the reason why we get stressed a lot. The average person gets stressed. They worry because we're having these thoughts in our heads all the time. We worry about everything. We worry about things that are not even going to happen. I mean, like just this morning, I was a little bit late running school runs, and I was there imagining things. Oh, what if my daughter doesn't get, because they're really strict in French schools, what if my daughter is late for school? She's going to have to stay home with me, and then I'm not going to be able to see my client today. So, but all this is happening in my head, and what's happening is your thoughts has a physical reaction to your body. So then my heart starts racing. I get really snappy because I'm getting panicky. My hands are feeling really clammy. You know, all these physical reactions, all because I was thinking about the consequences. And this is the reason why diets also doesn't work, because of the fact that we're sending confusing messages to the brain. So let's say, for example, someone is on a diet and they're like saying, no, I can't eat cake because cake is really crap food, it doesn't nourish you, but most importantly, it's going to make me fat, so we don't want to eat cake. But then at the same time, you're like, but I love cake. It tastes so good, but I can't have it. But I love cake. I don't really want that good looking cake there, that really nice looking cake, but I don't want it. And it's like so confusing, because if you have one thought about the cake and saying that you don't want it, but at the same time you absolutely love it, just those two just cancels each other out. So you end up just obsessing about it anyway. The more you deprive yourself from something, saying I must not have cake, I must not have a biscuit, I must not have this, I must not have that. I'm so original. You're constantly got it in your mind, because rather than being so indifferent from it, which means indifferent means that you're just not bothered by it, with you obsessing, I can't have cake, I can't have a biscuit. It's like the white elephant. The more you think about it, even if you don't want it, the more you're going to be obsessed with it. But that is like one theory as well, because there's so many things as well. Like, we are driven to want fatty and sugary things, because it was one of our only survival skills when back in the day, when food was scarce. Sugar and fat would make us last for days, and that's why we crave sugary and fat, highly carb foods, because we had to rely on that to survive. So mixed in with your thoughts, whether or not you're saying, well, I'm not going to eat that, with your survival instincts, you're not really got a chance. So that is the theory. That's one of the rules of the mind. When you understand it, it makes it easier for you to understand why you behave a certain way and why it's so hard to stick to a diet, because we are fighting against our survival instincts. And even people with the strongest willpower will find it so hard, because is that one of the rules of the mind is that with the brain listens to the words that we say to ourselves and the pictures that we say to ourselves. Another example is, I don't know if you've been seeing me for a while, but I am a vegan, and I've been vegan for about 3 years now, and it was a struggle to transition to a plant-based diet, because I did like my junk food. I grew up eating junk food, and if I'm really honest, I do miss junk food. However, using the advantage that our brains rely on pictures and words that we say to ourselves, when I try, and it's a good tool as well to have if you're on the diet as well, is to use the pictures to make things easier for you when you're trying to avoid certain things. Like, for example, when I discovered that gelatin was made out of animal carcasses, which is basically all the crap that's leftovers from the meat. So you have your pork chops and your cow bits that you have in your steak. One of the things that helped me stop eating a lot of crap food, like processed foods, is because I imagined what gelatin was made of. So I did a lot of research and I put pictures in my head. Literally every time I see like a jelly baby or a lot of processed foods, and I look at the packet and it says gelatin, all I can vision in my mind is bits of pig nose, pig ears and cow hooves and cow skin and all the crap really that's leftovers from the meat, and all piled up, grinded, crushed, melted, and all these chemicals to make it look really pretty so that we can eat it. So after a while, visualizing that, I just can't imagine putting that shite in my mouth, basically. And I couldn't even face, you know, even though I want to be a fair mom, for a while at the beginning, you know, I felt I didn't feel confident in my veganism to stand up to everybody, especially when it came to my daughter. But after a while, when I really realized what that stuff is made out of, I could not even let my daughter eat it. I mean, I couldn't eat it. Why would I let my daughter eat it? And then I have people all the times. I mean, now I'm like fine with it because I'm so comfortable in my veganism and my plant-based diet. So if anyone challenges me, I'm like thinking, you know, when they say, oh, how do you deprive your child? Why won't you let her have sweets? I'm like thinking, why do you let your children eat blooming pig noses and hooves? I mean, like, really, you're calling me the crazy one, you know, because the way that I see it, they're the ones that eating crap. I'm protecting myself. So that's how powerful you can use a mind hack there. Also, another thing, like another one that you can use for dieting is, if you see a cake, you can just say, well, I could have that cake if I want to. I could have it tomorrow or next week or whatever. But at the moment, and I think I really prefer to have a beautiful body. That cake will probably only last for 1 minute in the mouth, and then it's just not like the happiness is not going to last as long as how happy I feel in my body. In actual fact, this is one of my favorite mind hacks, because this mind hack is the reason why I quit many of my addictions. I have been an addict since I was a teenager. So I started off smoking, and then I was on drugs, and then alcohol, and then sex. Then finally food. I was addicted to food, and then I went through over 20 years of eating disorders. And the way that I quit and I managed to stop all of them is by using the mind, by imagining what it would be like to continue to do what I'm doing, and kind of doing the comparison. Like, for example, just one more example, when I was like smoking and I really had enough, but I was so addicted to having a cigarette. When I used the mind hack, just before I had a cigarette, I just closed my eyes and I just imagined what it would feel like to have that cigarette. And because I imagined how it felt like, I decided, no, I didn't want to put myself through it. And you could do that with literally everything. Just check to see, like, just imagine how it would feel to have that cake. You're gonna feel good that 5 minutes of having the cake, or whatever it is that you're trying to refrain from. You'll probably feel good for, I don't know, 10 minutes maximum. I don't know, like when you eat something crap like that, even at the time you don't even think it's crap, you think it's a treat. You feel great for 10 minutes. But really, how much time and effort is everyone like trying to lose weight, trying to diet all the time? Is it really worth it? I hope there was some little nuggets there that you can take away. Just to let you know, just in case you haven't seen me before, I'm Mel. Hi, I'm from Insatiable Mel. I help people with eating disorders, but really helping everybody just to have a healthy relationship to food and kind of enjoying eating again without dieting. Thank you for joining, and have a lovely evening.